Hi, back in 2010 I made a video about wet shaving or shaving with a safety razor, and it got a whole lot of views and comments. So I thought I'd do a follow-up video where I answer the top 10 questions that I kept getting on that video. So let's start with the first question. The top one that I'm getting all the time is, what razor am I using? I don't know, because I got it sometime in 2005 or 2006. All I know is that it's a Gillette double-edged safety razor. It's a classic design. It resembles the G1000 or the NAC V2, NAC being spelled K-N-A-C-K. Do a search for those two models. If you think one of them is closer to mine and you really are stuck on getting the same one, then get one of those two. But it really isn't as important. You know, what model you use of this isn't as important as knowing how to use it. And by that I mean each razor has pluses or minuses. Each razor has strengths and weaknesses. Some work best on long pulls, some work best on short pulls. Some work best at certain angles, some work best at other angles. Some work best with certain hair types, some don't. It's the same with blades, you know. There's all science behind blades and the thickness of the blades and the sharpness of the angle at which they cut. And so really, find something that works for you, know its strengths and weaknesses. The important thing is for you to have proper shaving technique. And that means the right angle, lathering up, softening the face, knowing how to pull it across your face so that you don't irritate yourself and then you don't cut yourself. That's important. This sort of obsessing about the razor type and model is sort of like obsessing about camera types. You know, it's when I go out in the street or I'm traveling somewhere and I got my camera with me and I'm taking photos, you know, people sometimes stop and ask me, "Ooh, what camera is that?" Or, "Isn't that a nice camera? I know, I heard it takes great photos." And I usually just thank them and move on, but really what I want to tell them is, you know, hey, it's not the camera that takes the photos, it's the guy behind the lens that takes the photos, and it's the same with the razor. Yeah, if you want good photos, then you have to know proper photographic technique. You have to know how to use your tools. That's just the same thing applies to the razor. You've got to know how to use it. I don't care if your razor costs $1,000 and it's the fanciest one out there and it's made with diamonds and platinum and I don't know what. You know, it's the fanciest you can find, right? If you don't know how to use it properly, your shave is going to suck every time, consistently. So learn how to use your tool. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Okay, next question. I hope that covered it. Covered it for me. How often should you change the blade? Boy, it's kind of a tricky question, but it's also a basic one. You should change the blade when it no longer cuts. And if you think that's a silly answer, it really isn't. How do you know when the blade no longer cuts? Well, when it starts pulling on your hair, when it starts irritating your face. When you find that you have to press harder than you want to, that's when you perhaps need to look at changing the blade. And you'll get a much better sense of this as you get more experience with wet shaving. You'll know immediately when you start shaving, your blade isn't cutting as it's supposed to cut. And so what you do then is you stop shaving, you change the blade, and you move on. Easy, easy. But you know, if you want a particular period of time to which you can stick without having to think about how the blade's doing, fine, change it every 4 to 5 shaves. 4 or 5 shaves, right? Or even better, once a week. Change it once a week. You'll be set. Alright? Okay. What shaving brush should I use? That's another question that I get. And again, I'm sorry to be to let out air like this in frustration, but it is a question that I get a lot. And there's, just like with razors, there's all kinds of discussion about, oh, this shaving brush is much better than the other, but it's not important to me. It's important to some other people, it's not important to me. I use this brush. When I travel, I take it with me. When I'm at home, I use this as well. I think this is a boar hair brush. I don't know. I don't care. By the way, boar hair brushes aren't really made from wild boar hairs because they don't go chasing boars to get their hair. It's made from pig hair. So, you know, it's just some dirty pig somewhere. Got shaven. It's a hair right here. That could be a badger hair. I don't know. People keep saying badger hair brushes are better. Could be. I don't know. I know for sure this is a badger hair brush. And what's it doing? It's sitting in my drawer unused because I don't like it. It goes too soft when I lather up with it. It's just too soft. Even now it's too soft. And I want a solid brush. I want something that I can press against my face and lather up with. You know, not some piddly little brush that, what am I doing with this? Applying makeup? It doesn't work for me. So, use what works for you. That's my advice. There's some synthetic brushes out there that are pretty good. I keep hearing about them. I don't use them. I use that brush, the one I showed you. That's the one I know. If you want to look into brushes and you're obsessed about this sort of stuff, go to sharpologist.com. That's sharpologist.com. That's a website for Mantic 59. He's the guy that I learned a lot of shaving stuff from when I started shaving with a double-edged razor. So sharpologist.com. They've got a ton of brush reviews over there. You can read them and then pick the one you think works for you. Okay? All right. But the key is to experiment till you find the brush that you like. And once you find the brush that you like, stick with it, okay? Because what you want when you're shaving is consistency. You don't want to be fooling around all the time with different things because you'll be frustrated. You just want to know that when you get into the bathroom and you start shaving, you're going to get a good shave, you're not going to irritate yourself, and it's going to be a pleasant, enjoyable experience, okay? Because you have to do it sort of like every day for the rest of your life, so you might as well like it. Okay, why do you shave so high up on your face? Or as someone put this, why do you shave under your eyes? Well, gee, you know, it's kind of a mystery. It's a secret. I'll tell you though, it's, I'm a werewolf. Being from Transylvania, you know, when the moon's full, I turn into a really nasty werewolf. And so, even when I'm not a werewolf, I still get some hair under my eyes. And I gotta shave it off, otherwise I'll give myself away. It's a tough life. Yeah, it is. Okay, the truth is that I get a few scraggly hairs that grow up here. Not under my eyes, just up here somewhere. Like 1 or 2 or 3. I've always had them, and so when I shave, I do a pass up here just to get rid of them. Because the last thing I want, and I think the last thing you want when you're shaving, is to be nicely shaven all around on your face and to just have a few long hairs sticking out over here. You know, you're not a badger, you're not a werewolf. Why would you have hair sticking out underneath your eyes? It just looks silly. So I do a high pass to shave it. I've been doing it ever since I started shaving. It hasn't affected the hair. It still grows in the same place. I haven't gotten more hairs up there. They're not thicker. That's an old wives' tale, you know, that keeps going around about, oh, the hair is gonna grow more in the places where you shave. Nonsense. As an experiment, I challenge you, shave your forehead. Yeah? See if more hair grows up there. I bet you it won't. Because just like with the guys that are going bald and they end up shaving their heads, ask them and they'll tell you that they don't get more hair growth up there. It looks better because, trust me, a freshly shaven bald head is much better looking than one with a comb over. But you don't get more hair up there. You know, your hair is genetically programmed to grow where it grows. And so if you don't have hair under your eyes, shaving there won't get you the hair. Okay? Don't obsess about this stuff. It's not important. It really isn't. Why did I not use shaving lotion or shaving cream when I shaved? Why did I use a canned gel? I answered this in the video. And I said that I used it because I happened to be traveling at the time, which I was, and I didn't have it with me. I do have plenty of shaving cream and shaving gel here at home, which I use and I love. I just didn't have it with me at the time. Okay? So for example, at home I use something like this. There we go. Yeah, see it? So this is avocado shaving cream from Taylor of Old Bond Street, and I love this. I use this all the time. It's wonderful. What I also use is shaving soap, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. Oh, here we go. That's one of the shaving soaps that I use. This came with a Vanderhagen Deluxe shaving kit. So it's pretty good. I use it from time to time. And then what I use when I'm traveling now, just so I don't get accused of not using it, is Palmolive for Men. This mirror filming is annoying. Well, yeah, there we go. So it's Palmolive shaving cream in a tube. I got both the sensitive and the regular ones, and I think I like the sensitive a little more, but I just carry one of these tubes with me when I'm traveling. It works. It works. So that's what I use normally. I just didn't happen to use it when I filmed that video. Okay? Alright. One question that I keep getting, but I kept getting it for a while from some smart Alex. They'd be like, oh, you cut yourself during the video and yet you're teaching us how to shave. Ha ha. So, it's true. Laugh if you want. I filmed that video in one take, and I didn't want to refilm it. I wanted an honest video. And so I posted it as it was, and I just happened to cut myself a few times, or nick myself. A cut is the wrong term, because they were just little nicks. Probably because I had a camera shoved in my face, and I wasn't used to shaving with a camera in my face. I don't usually cut myself that often. As a matter of fact, maybe 2-3 times a year I cut myself shaving. That's not too bad. So, it just so happened that I did during the filming of that video. No biggie. A question related to that, but this is a bona fide question, is from users, from viewers who ask me this question. Hey, I keep cutting myself when I shave. What can I do to stop this? Here's advice from a guy who cuts himself while shaving, right? The one thing to remember is that technique is key. And so you've got to focus on the right shaving angle. And by that, I mean the angle should be about 20 to 25 degrees. The angle that you apply the razor to your face should be about that. And it may differ from razor to razor, but I found with my razor what I do to find the right angle, because you will forget the position from time to time, and so you have to retrain yourself. Excuse me, I just had breakfast. Is you apply the razor to your face horizontally, and then you start angling it downward until the blade starts catching the hair and cutting it. And when it just barely starts catching the hair and cutting it properly, that's the right angle for you. You certainly should not be shaving like this, because you'll be experiencing a whole lot of pain. And if you happen to slip sideways, you'll also cut yourself quite deeply. So shave like this all the time, just up, downward motions. Don't be doing any fancy motions until you get more experience. So that's the shaving angle. The other thing you should be focusing on is that short strokes. The short strokes are important. So you should be shaving like this. Not even just like this, because there are too many angles here to worry about. And if you're not experienced enough, and if your face is not used to wet shaving, you will cut yourself. So use short strokes like this. It's sort of counterintuitive. You think, well, if I keep reapplying this to my face, I'm bound to cut myself. No, it's actually, you're less likely to cut yourself if you do this. So short strokes work best. Okay, and the other thing, of course, is don't press too hard. I'm looking at the paper, that's why my head keeps going down. if you press too hard, then of course you're more likely to irritate and cut yourself. So just sort of guide the razor along, sort of let it touch your face. Don't press it into it, just sort of let it touch your face and guide it downward. Okay, that's the motion you should be focusing on. Yeah, so that's the technique that I advise you to use. And I'll, of course, shave with the hair. You should only start shaving at an angle to the hair or against the hair when you get more experienced. And that's something you'll start figuring out as you get more comfortable. Okay? But if you're just a beginner, shave with the direction of the hair growth. Even though you won't get shaves that are that close or as close as you want them, it's the best way to go. Okay. Now, the other thing to do is to use I'm scratching myself with this, I don't have a blade in it, don't worry, is to use a thinner blade. A thicker blade, I'm sorry, if your skin gets irritated or cut more easily. Thicker blades are more forgiving and they won't dig into the skin so much. You may have to sort of do multiple passes because it won't give you as close a shave, depending on the blade. But thinner blades, thinner, sharper blades like the feather blades will really cut your face if you're not careful. So, you know, if you're just a beginner or if your face is very sensitive, which mine is, even though I get really, really thick stubble, for example, and trust me, this is thick stubble, it's like sandpaper. The skin of my face is very thin. So this really thick stubble grows on really thin skin. And I have to apply more pressure sometimes to get that stubble off my face, but I always have to keep in mind that my skin is really thin and I will cut myself if I'm not careful. So your skin type may be different from mine, but that's what I have to put up with when I shave. And of course, another thing to remember is to build up a good lather, right? So really stay there for like 3-4 minutes and rub the lotion and the cream into your face to build up that strong lather. It's got to be really thick lather. It's got to be like really thick whipped cream. You know, when you take your brush off your face, you should get little peaks that stand out like this of the lather. If it's so soft that it's sort of like mushy and going down your face, then that's not a thick lather, and there's not enough lubrication there for the razor to glide on your face, and you will irritate yourself. All right? Okay. Now, some guys were telling me that I shouldn't pull on my skin when I shave with a double-edged razor, and because that only applies to straight razors. And what I was doing in the last video, if you've seen it, is I was sort of pulling upward on my skin like this, and then shaving downward to get a better shave down there. And my answer to the people that think certain things only apply to certain, or this technique only applies to the straight razor, is that you're wrong. It applies wherever it applies. For me, that gives me a closer shave. If I shave just like this, then I tend to sort of catch the skin here because it's very thin, and I tend to cut myself sometimes or just irritate it badly. And so if I pull up, then I can actually shave it while it's stretched like this over here. When I let it fall down, I've already shaved like down to there. And it's much easier to go down from there without cutting myself. So, you know, experiment and do what works for you. Don't just stick to a silly technique because that's what the rule says. There are no hard and fast rules when it comes to shaving. You've got to experiment and find out what works for you. Okay? That's the most important thing. Don't stick to some silly rule even though you're not getting the shave you want. Really experiment and do your homework, do your research, and find a razor that works for you. Find a blade that works for you. Find a brush that works for you. Find a cream that works for you. Once you've found them, you stick with them. That's the best way to get a consistently good shave. Stick with what works for you. Okay? All right. Let's see here. Where do I buy the double-edged razor and the blades? That's another question I keep getting. And I I don't mean to be rude, guys, but come on, in this day and age, you're asking me where to buy stuff. I don't have a particular recommendation for me for you. Remember, I don't even know where I bought my razor. So it's not like it's that hard to find a place to buy stuff these days. You just gotta Google it. You know, you go to google.com, type in a double-edged razor or a safety razor, and boom, you get like thousands of search results. Stores that are more than willing to sell you this stuff. It's not like it was when I was a kid, guys. You know, when I had to go to the library and find the reference desk, and then find the card cabinet. Remember the card cabinet? Or you may not, but I do. And then go browse through it, and then find the reference book that I needed, or find the microfiche files for a certain newspaper, and then look up the article. It is so easy nowadays to find the info that you want on the internet. It takes you seconds, whereas before it may have taken you days to find the stuff you wanted. So come on, just do a quick search, find a store that sells it at a price that you can afford, and get it. Okay? I don't have a store recommendation for you. Nobody's paying me to recommend their store. And I'm not sure that I would if they were paying me, unless I really liked it. So just go and look for it. You'll find it. I'm very, very sure that you'll find what you're looking for if you just keep searching for it. Okay? So last question. How does a straight razor compare to a safety razor? How does the shave compare? Speaking from personal experience, I guess, a straight razor shave, when you get it from somebody who really knows what they're doing, is the closest shave I think you can ever get. I don't know if I've never gotten a closer shave than when I went to a good barber and got a straight razor shave. It was amazing. It was like a baby's skin afterward. My face was so smooth and so soft, and even when moving my hand in a direction opposite to the hair growth, I still couldn't feel the hair at all. No irritation, no nicks. It was amazing. And it lasted for about a day and a half. So I don't know what that guy was doing, but he did it really, really nicely. I also have straight razors. I actually have two of them. Both of them are Solingen. Yep, this one I got it in an antiques fair. It's about 100 years old. And this one my wife got me for my birthday. Thank you, sweetie. It's wonderful. It's also a Solingen. It's a Dovo Solingen. The sad thing about them is that they're sitting in my drawer here unused for two reasons. One is that I cannot sharpen them properly. I have the strop. Trust me, I have the strop. I got it from this Amish company. It's really, really sturdy. Beautiful leather strop and cloth strop. It's beautiful. I would love to use it, and I have used it. But these razors aren't sharp enough to just strop them and be done with it. They actually need to be sharpened on a stone. And I got a stone. I got a Japanese stone. And I tried to sharpen them myself, but unfortunately I only made them duller. And I can't find somebody that sharpens straight razors. I wish I could. Not in my town. So until I find somebody that sharpens straight razors and I can get them really, really sharp the way they're supposed to be, I can't really shave, because I've tried shaving with them. And they only pull on my hair, which is a really good sign that they're not sharp enough. A straight razor shave is quite possibly better than a double-edged razor shave, if you know how to do it properly. If you don't, you can very likely slit your throat. And I'm not kidding when I say that. One slip of the finger and you've slit your jugular, and then you'll have blood gushing out of your throat like this. So be careful. It's not a toy. It's very much a man's tool. And if you don't know how to use it, then it's best to let it rest in the drawer like I am doing, because you don't want to have an accident on your hands. Okay. Bonus question, another question I'm getting. I know this says this video is about the top 10 questions, but I have one more question that I want to set straight, because people were asking me about it. In the last video there was no shower curtain, And so I get people are asking me, well, what's wrong with your bathroom? There's no shower curtain. There's no shower curtain. And the reason was that the bathroom was undergoing renovations at the time. Not only the shower was being renovated, but also I think the tile work was being redone. Not my bathroom, my parents' bathroom. I was visiting them at the time. And if you look here and behind me, there's no shower curtain here either, but this is my bathroom. And there's no curtain here because the shower's not behind me. I actually have a tub behind me, which is lower and you can't see it. But in my shower here, I also don't have a curtain. I bet that would drive some people nuts. But I don't have a curtain because I actually don't like curtains very much. And this is a Roman shower. No curtains. Just the pipe coming out of the wall. And I just love walking right under the water and washing without brushing up against a moldy curtain. That's kind of annoying. So I don't have a curtain here either. Sorry to disappoint some of you. Okay, I think that's all the questions. That's all the most common questions that I got. And I suppose right now you'd probably like to see me shave once more. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, just stop the video. If you do, I'll go through a quick review of what I do when I shave. Again, it's a review never hurts anybody. So, let me get ready. So, I've jotted them down, and let's see what they are. Let's see here. I'm just kidding, I don't really need glasses. So, hi. How you doing? It's probably a top question. I don't know. It's this razor right here. You see it? This one. Well, the focus is up now. See, I have to kind of hold it here. There's all science behind blades and the thickness of the blades and the sharpness of the angle at which they cut and blah 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 blah. So really, and to me that, excuse me. And a willingness to enjoy the shaving experience so that you want to do it often instead of looking like a monkey. Well, monkey not being a derogatory term in any sort of way, please don't take it as such. Just that monkeys have hairy faces. And some monkeys have shiny butts. Go figure. But if you don't want to look like a chimp, or a gorilla or baboon or whatever other monkeys there are, then you want to shave often. And so, use a razor. Let me do this over. So that's my cup of tea for you. That's my cup of tea for you. What the heck am I saying there? That's my 2 cents for you. That's what I was trying to say.